In this video, I'm going to talk about the 6 questions that you should be able to answer about 401ks. Before getting to these questions, I'm going to take about 1 minute to briefly explain what they are, how they work, and why you shouldn't ignore them. It's all time-stamped, so feel free to skip ahead. 401k plans are employer-sponsored retirement plans. You generally become eligible after a short waiting period, contribute through your paycheck, and then become fully vested after a period determined by your employer. Your contributions can be traditional, also called pre-tax. You get a tax break in the year that you contribute. That money grows tax deferred, and then you pay income taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Most plans now also offer Roth contributions, also called post-tax contributions. This money is money that has already been taxed, so it grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free in retirement. This is usually a good route if you're going to be making about the same or more money in the future. You might be reluctant to contribute to a retirement account because you need money now, you're young, you've got plenty of time, but time is the most valuable resource we can't buy more of, and compounding growth takes time. Maybe you don't contribute to a retirement account because you assume you'll never be able to retire. You know what they say about assuming.
Never assume. When you assume, you make an asshole out of yourself.
I don't remember it quite that way. Anyways, Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." And I absolutely love this quote. How we talk to ourselves does matter. Don't set yourself up for failure by telling yourself you can't achieve a goal. If you can answer these next 6 questions, you're ahead of the curve. Number 1, are you enrolled in a 401k? Many companies engage in automatic enrollment, where as soon as you become eligible under their guidelines, they automatically create a 401k for you. Starting off with the traditional 3% contribution that increases by 1% per year is common unless you opt out. Some companies will require you to manually opt into a 401k. Either way, knowing whether you're enrolled in one is the first question. If you're unsure, talk to your admin or payroll coworker. My employer does automatic enrollment, and when I first started at my job and throughout my 20s, I didn't really pay much attention. I wasn't good with money, I was really bad with spending, and so when I found out that I was contributing to a 401k, I turned off contributions because I wanted more money to spend in the present. I didn't turn contributions back on for about 6 or 7 years, and I really regret that. Time only moves in one direction, and the future is coming whether we're ready or not. Number 2, does your employer offer a 401k match? If so, you should definitely maximize this. If your employer does a dollar for dollar match, or even 50 cents for every dollar, up to 4, 5, or 6%, not maximizing that is leaving free money on the table. A dollar for dollar match is a guaranteed 100% rate of return, which is kind of a unicorn in the world of investing. Never ever leave free money on the table. Number 3, how much are you contributing? Most financial professionals recommend saving and investing between 15 and 25% of your gross income across all accounts. I think 15% is a little too low, and I think 25% is a great number to aspire to. That can be a very difficult number to achieve, but start with whatever you can and gradually work your way up over time. Number 4, are you making traditional or Roth contributions? Consider how taxes will affect you when deciding between traditional and Roth, and know why you're choosing whichever you choose. Do you want to pay taxes now, or do you want to defer them to the future? Generally, you'll want to take the tax break when your tax rate is highest. Number 5, are you fully vested? Vesting schedules are ways for employers to incentivize their employees to stay at the company. Somewhere between 3 and 5 years is pretty common, but the actual vesting schedule will depend on the employer. If you're only 40% vested when you leave your job, you're going to forfeit 60% of your employer's contributions. You're always 100% vested in your contributions. Number 6, most importantly, what is your 401k invested in? You'll usually have about 15 different options to choose from. Looking at my 401k options as an example, we've got target retirement date funds. These automatically rebalance over time to get less risky closer to retirement. Large company. These are funds that own companies worth $10 billion or more. 3 of the 5 are index funds. The other 2 are non-indexed mutual funds. Small and mid companies. These funds own companies worth $10 billion or less. One is indexed, the other two aren't. International/global, these funds own companies outside the US. Balanced, this fund owns large companies, small companies, bonds, gold, real estate, etc. Bonds. Bonds are investments that behave like loans with defined terms and interest payments. And then capital preservation. This fund provides a low but very safe rate of return. This is once you have money and you're looking to keep it. You've probably heard that you want to diversify. Don't put all of your eggs into one basket. So it might be tempting to look at the different options available and just put 10% into 10 different funds. This is actually not a good idea. If I rank these different funds by lowest expense ratio first and by their 5 and 10-year performance, we'll see the S&P 500 and total market index funds are at and close to the top. Sometimes non-index funds do beat index funds, but it's not for very long and almost always just comes down to luck on the fund manager's part. If you leave your employer and never move your 401k over, it's going to continue to grow as whatever it's already invested into. Let's say we put $10,000 into each fund and then let it sit for 25 years. We'll assume each fund's 25-year performance is 3% lower than its 10-year performance. Here's what each of the investments would turn into. Of course, the assumption about 25-year performance could certainly be wrong. And again, I want to point out that occasionally some actively managed and non-indexed mutual funds can beat index funds, but it's exceptionally rare over the long term. If you sell out of index funds to chase higher performing non-indexed funds, that defies the whole point of dollar cost averaging into the market over time. Total market index funds are already well diversified since they own every company, so it's a relatively safe basket to put all of your eggs into, as long as you've got enough time to weather short-term market movements. Whether you choose an S&P 500 index fund or a total market index fund, index funds are going to be the bread and butter of wealth building. This isn't financial advice, but you should probably YOLO all of your money into VTI, VTSAX, or whatever low-cost total market index fund is available to you. Continue to buy at regular intervals and focus on living a life that you love. 401ks are awesome ways to automate saving and investing behavior, but beyond maximizing an employer 401k match, I think it's probably better to invest within an HSA or a Roth IRA before the 401k. It doesn't take much time or energy to have multiple different accounts, so it's really a question of how much you want to maximize your tax savings and control. Being savvy with money will improve your life, I promise. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.